Morning everyone, this is Brian and we are still week 31, but we are the first day of August, and I'm just going to run through some of our business updates and more aimed at listings coming through, so potential vendors, and how we've changed and had to change quickly, dramatically, how we're doing business. And so I'm going to explain it. We've had a number of requests, communications from appraisals I've done over the last 24 months, 36 months, and updating those records. So it's been impossible to go back through all the pre-listing kits that we've put out there. In our last trip alone, there were 18. So, yeah, I suppose with everybody that's viewed our weekly updates over the last couple of months, you've seen a trend, and we took the elastoplast off the wound this week, and you've seen our new website, which is what do you call it, version 1. So that will be upgraded as we go through over the next 30 days. So critiquing, but that's it. As it stands today, that's the basis of our website. There will be some additions to it, some referrals to valuers, to industry-specific valuers, to some of the lenders that are still available. So they'll be added as and when we get to that point. So what I'm going to deal with, and most of the communication coming through there seems to be a little bit of confusion, and quite rightly, because I've been in the same scenario. So the changes in the lending criteria, and this is a broad generalization, not all of them, but all the ones that I've dealt with. So I don't know of any to this day that aren't incorporating these new guidelines in one form or another, or 100%. And as I've mentioned, we've had lenders leave certain areas. So I'll start right at the top where it hasn't changed at all, and that's in the major cities. It really hasn't changed at all. The only part that's changed in the major cities is the cessation, or the lender actually has stopped lending to the industry. So, and the industry I'm talking about at the moment is certainly hotels, motels, and caravan parks. A little bit in the rural sector, which we don't really deal with at the moment. We are looking at returning to it. I've been mentioning that for about 24 months. Once the stock and station license is up and going, we will look at that. Certainly we're doing lifestyle up to about 20 hectares, I think we're allowed to. So we're still doing those ones. But yeah, that's in the cities. The residential hasn't been affected at all, and commercial lending hasn't been affected. So the affected areas we are dealing with today are hotels, motels, caravan parks. The demographic lending is just a guideline, which is 20,000 population base in the town. So above, sometimes okay, below, not okay. That's the demographic lending zone. And the geographic lending zone is simply regional New South Wales. So some lenders have pulled out of regional New South Wales, some lenders have pulled out of hotels, motels, caravan parks and service stations. So we've restructured what we do to compensate that. So I'm going to give you a broad stroke and then specifics. First of all, properties outside of the lending zone, the demographic lending zone. So the auctions are now 90 days and not 30. And if we run 2 auctions, it would be over 180 days. Days on market, it's going to be very hard to work out. It's going to be over 12 months in general, possibly 24 if you're not using the auction process. Auctions in the demo lending zone, which is auctions that have a population of over 20,000, and in the cities, well, still 30-day auctions from when we get all the admin together. So we're not starting without your profit and loss certified from an accountant and ledgers. So that's affected us dramatically in certainly the last 12 months, 6 months, and certainly in the last 90 days, that unless we've got ledgers, and I'll go into the specifics of those ledgers even, and to give you a guideline, because coming from a buyer's perspective, not your perspective as an owner. So every campaign, I thought this is reasonably straightforward. It has been for the last 39 years, but isn't at the moment. So over the next 10 years, every campaign is one auction only. There's no, we'll put it back to auction the next time, or we'll put it back to next time over. We used to do that, and it used to be quite successful because everything was set up and we were just continuing. The challenge, what we've found now, is that first auction, as it has been since 39 years ago, first auction is always the best. First offer is generally your best. But what we've found, that there was the fewer buyers now for the auctions, that we tend to attract the best buyers, and sometimes they're the only buyers. They come to auction, they bid, and if it doesn't sell, and we're going to talk about the reserve form too, if it doesn't sell under the hammer, they leave. They leave quickly, they leave dramatically, and they don't come back. They go and buy something else. They might buy something else off another agent. And what I've found in tracking some of the buyers is that they leave the idea of buying a motel or hotel and the amount of hours, and that they have to live on site, all those sorts of things. One of the partners will be really motivated to get into it, and one of the partners will not be that motivated. So, and that person takes control after an unsuccessful purchase at an auction. So we're not finding that the buyer will stay around for the next round of auctions, so we have to attract a brand new buyer. And we can't do that on the office-funded marketing only. Remember, the campaigns are still semi-funded by the office. So if we aren't successful or the reserve isn't set at the correct level, and a client or vendor or doesn't listen to the market feedback, we're not going to be able to fund attracting a brand new buyer in the next 30 days a lot of the time, because it's taken the time and effort to get that first round of buyers, and they come through, and unfortunately they don't stick around, so the next lot of buyers may not be out there for a period of time, and depending on the product. So the product changes during the marketing process. How does a physical bricks and mortar business change? Well, a lot of the times it comes back to the books. So how, and this is the books not in the vendor's eyes or the owner's eyes, the books in the eyes of the buyer. So lending criteria has changed dramatically. Can't borrow as much, books have to be in order. And as an agent, whether it's me or another agent, we take on the property prior to seeing the books and whether the books are correct or not. And that's something that's coming out, is that the creative way some accountants are minimizing tax just doesn't help the sales process at all. Things like not having management drawings in the books, not showing a profit, that really lends itself to not really having, other than the bricks and mortar, not having any value on the business. Not having a ledger of your expenses. So not giving the agent, it's not just me, if you're not giving your agent, another agent, your brewery expenses. Now, if you're not using a liquor supplier and you're using someone like Dan Murphy's or First Choice, you still have to account for that. You can't be drawing your cash out, going to Dan Murphy's or First Choice, buying that liquor, and then not accounting for it in the business. You know, and a buyer's accountant will pick that up and then just take the value out of the business. So all these things take into consideration. We need now we're making it mandatory. We can't bring a property to auction until we've got profit and loss for 3 years, detailed ledgers. You should be drawing a salary, evidence of drawing a salary, and then a profit. The business should be showing a profit. So we want to see all that. Obviously, we need the contract for the business and the freehold. So then we're ready for auction. Then we're ready to give the buyer's packed, all ready to go. So inside the demo, so you are in a city, you are that's in a city, and your population is obviously bigger than 20,000. We've got all the admin, we're still doing 30-day auctions. Outside of the demo, we're doing 90-day auctions, and that's per campaign. So if you choose to set your reserve above the market, and we're going to talk about that reserve form in a minute, then there'll be the next campaign will obviously, certain things will be in place you won't have to pay for, but there will be another campaign cost. Exclusive zone. So marketing, we haven't carried exclusives for probably 10, 15 years. We are going to offer that. But that's a monthly marketing investment. So you'll be taking off the auctioneer, the venue, and all that sort of stuff. But there'll be a monthly marketing cost on the way through, because it may take up to 12 months to sell. And we are open to you withdrawing the property. No longer, our marketing can the office fully fund the marketing campaigns of a hotel, motel, or caravan park, or a luxury home, or a lifestyle property. And why do I say that? So back in '86 when I started, I started doing auctions straight away. The product that we're selling, houses in the Springwood area in Brisbane, between $50,000 to $100,000, and really my market was $50,000 to $70,000. I didn't sell anything over $70,000. The marketing campaigns back then were $1,500. We had three different types in Ray White: $1,500, $2,000, and $2,500 to sell a $50,000 house, and that's how much people paid. So to think that we've been trying to sell, and by the way, that's in Brisbane, so in a city. So to think that we've been trying to save our publicans or our motel owners money by having $3,000 and $5,000 auctions for $1, $2, $3 million properties, or very remote properties, it's just, we can't do that anymore. It's just not working. You've got to invest. It's tax deductible. You've got to invest a substantial amount. So that'll be our exclusive zone. We're looking at a 12-month period, and there will be a marketing cost every month. Hopefully that's cleared a lot of those questions up, and I know there'll still be some questions coming through, and I love them. Hopefully I've dealt with all the general ones that came through over the last 24 hours. Now, reserve setting form. My reserve setting form, which I know is, I won't call it standard, but it's because I'm the auctioneer as well, it gives me a guide while I'm calling the auction, while I'm dealing with the buyers, and you don't have a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is talk you through my reserves. I'll just talk about Brian McManus Real Estate. My reserves have 3 levels. The reserve, you set the reserve. Then it has, and I don't have one in front of me, but I wrote it, so I should know it roughly. Let's say you've got a reserve of $1 million. The buyer's feedback has been $1 million. So, and that's set in the first line. The reserve is $1 million for Brian McManus Hotel. The next level is 20% below that. So, should bidding reach $800,000, please come and talk to us. And it says that in the reserve, 20% below your, as a guide, 20% below your reserve. So during the bidding, we stall at $800,000. I come back to you and go, right, we're live at $800,000. What do you want to do? Do you want to go back to the market next week? with a brand new campaign, same costs, or are we close enough that we announce it's on the market, it may sell at that level, or it may encourage more bidding? Your choice. Now the third level below that, which is another 20%. So argument's sake, let's say it's 600,000-700,000. If bidding, words to the effect, we will not accept anything below this figure, which would be 700,000. So then I'm set. This is for the auctioneer. The buyers have been feeding back at $1 million. That's where our reserve is set. At $800,000, if we have live bidding to $800,000, you want me to come and talk to you. But you won't accept $600,000 or $700,000, whichever you've set that third one. Now, why are these levels important? In live bidding, remember, every offer is a live offer. And think back, and if you've been on the market for a while, how many live, unconditional, 10% deposit, settlement in 30 or 40 days have you had? You've got to take this really seriously. And in saying that, have you seriously set your reserve? Have you spoken to your accountant, spoken to your solicitor? Set the reserve without any undue being under the influence or drinking or whatever it is. Have you sat down and gone, right, we are motivated to sell. This is the level that the buyers have come in at. Okay, we might have wanted 1.5, but the buyers are at $1 million. Do we want to stay here for the next 3 or 4 years to let it come up to our expectation, or are we going to meet the expectation, move on with our life? They are all things that, as an agent, we can't deal with. As an auctioneer, I can't deal with. But they're your questions. So, sending a reserve form back to me with the same price on each level, I look at those and I think you've put no time or effort into that. To come back with, our reserve is $1 million. If bidding reaches $1 million, come and talk to me, and we won't take anything under $1 million. This shows no time or effort. It shows a lack of respect for the time and effort that I've put in and my auxiliaries, which is hundreds of hours in the end. Your property, generally, it's very rare that you don't have hundreds of thousands of views on our social media. So it comes back to looking and being hard and realistic, speaking to your accountant and your accountant being honest with you, not agreeing with you, saying, well, you only showed a $50,000 profit and you don't have any drawings in your account. So essentially we're asking somebody who's left 2 salary jobs in Canberra at $150,000 a year average, so $300,000 net, 40 hours a week, to come and work 70 hours a week, not get paid anything, and pay $1 million. Tell you what, I wouldn't be. So, setting the reserve, vital that the time and effort's in there. Setting the reserve, our reserve, some of the other agents don't use that 3 levels, but we do, because I need it as an auctioneer as a guideline. In the call, I'm dealing with buyers online most of the time now, so I have to concentrate on them and not I really don't have the time to concentrate on you as a vendor. So part and parcel of that is that you must set aside a day and go and get away from your business and say, right, how much are we motivated to move? Are we willing to lose these buyers and have no buyers on Monday, to start from fresh and start a new campaign, $15,000, $20,000 campaign, gamble that we are going to attract another round of bidders or buyers? Is our property that desirable? These are all questions you should be asking. So from my perspective, in helping you sell your property, these are all the things that I take into consideration. And believe me, I'm exhausted after the auction. I can be exhausted for a week after the auction. And sometimes it takes me even longer if the time and effort to hold the buyers in place, the time and effort to get them into a buying position. And that's for people that don't buy and sell motels, hotels, or caravan parks or luxury homes all the time. That can be exhausting in itself. So you get them there only to have, and there's a sentence. This I was taught many years ago from my uncle. The only thing that will stop a successful auction would be an unrealistic reserve. So the moment I get an unrealistic reserve, basically you're throwing away all of my work, your investment in the marketing campaign, for your own ego. And something I heard, something I heard, and a customer came back to me that I dealt with a few years ago, ready to sell. So we've been through a couple of auctions. Unless unrealistic reserves came through, we passed it into the highest bidders. Bidders walked, and we started again. Now, came back with a new attitude, and that they definitely wanted to sell. That was the phone call in the afternoon. I went away, I told them I'd do some research, and I told them the market had changed. Did my research and went back to them. And here's the kicker. What I'd heard in the afternoon was good, that they wanted to meet the market and sell. Later that day, the next contact, I got the, yes, we want to sell, but only if I get my price. And that now is a line through that I can't help. The market sets the price. And I ran through over the next couple of days, what is the market? What is the net return for an investor? If it's development, if it's a developable, if the property can be developed, what are the holding costs? What is a buyer willing to, developer willing to do? And they might have to hold the property for 2-3 years if you've got difficult counsel. So I ran through all those scenarios, and once again, what we'd reverted to was back to what I would call as bad behaviour for a seller. That I can't help you if the market has to meet your expectation. The market is the market. Willing buyer, willing seller. I showed the yields for an investor, and between the purchasing level for an investor, and already in, it was about 4 or 5 hours, the expectation had raised over $1 million. $1.5 million. So I'm expected to spend the next 6 months selling something that's $1.5 million over reserve. And that, I'm afraid, is just not going to happen in our agency. So we would have looked at taking that property on if they would have been realistic, meet the market, and wanting to move on. But the motivation changed. So one party had gone back to old thinking, and we can't help. And that comes back to that reserve setting. And we're setting that we're setting reserves at listing. So if that reserve is beyond fair market value, even at the start, without live bidders, I'm afraid we can't help. And there are other agents that can carry you for 12 or 24 months, and hats off to them, but it's not our business practice. Ideally, we want to sell in the first 30 days. It's proven that you're going to get your highest price in the first 30 days. We've taken it out to 90 days for the properties outside the lending zone, the demographic lending zone. So that's like a 30-day campaign as well. We want you guys to move on with your lives. Willing buyer, willing seller scenarios, they can be created. Now, in the residential side of the business, that's stock standard, that's just staying the same. There's plenty of demand, plenty of investors out there. So we've got, you see the new website, we've got luxury homes, hotels, motels, northern rivers, and residential. I think that's how we've broken it up. Regional residential. So that's how our listings will come through now and be divided up so the buyers can find them relatively easy. Hopefully I've covered everything. And that's probably unlikely. So in 33 minutes, I've tried to cover everything that's come through. I know it's been a lot to take into consideration. We've changed our business to mirror that massive change in the industry or in lending. There's a lot of moving pieces, and it's hard to keep abreast of it all, but we've tried to. Our goal at the end of the day is list, market, and sell your properties. Our viewings are beyond 11 million at the moment on Google. We're setting records on Facebook. Our viewings are up, and it's a matter of, okay, we still want qualified buyers, and if we're not getting qualified buyers, there's a problem with the 3 P's: position, presentation, or price. Position, presentation, or price. Expectations. So auctions don't have a price on them, but if somebody calls, they've got 500,000, you've got $1 million expectation. Do we get those people through? If we get more than 3 or 4 at 500,000, that's the market setting the price. Your expectation of $1 million is over. can't do anything about that. That's the market. I'm not the buyer in most cases. So hopefully that explains a fair bit of the change in direction or pace or services that we've had to change to keep abreast of the market. We're still here to list, sell and settle properties. That's hasn't changed in 39 years. We don't get paid until settlement, so we're not here just to provide a service on the off chance that you may accept what the market is saying. And that's hard, but it's true. It's just, there's no point in having your property on the market if you're not wanting to listen to market feedback. So moving forward, happy days. We have systems in place for your property. If you're outside that zone, that lending zone, we can still sell your property. We can take it to auction over 90 days. Our marketing campaigns are one auction only, so we just stretch it out. We have exclusive zone campaigns. If you're outside of the zone and it's likely that it's going to take 6 or 12 months, we can give you a monthly arrangement there. Ideally, my gut feeling is I don't want to take that business on because I want to achieve your objective of selling your property so that you can move on with your life. Now, I'll give you that example where the people have come back are still there. I think it was 2022 or 2023 when we first went to auction. I'm guessing, generalisation there, but so they're still there. Was it worth hanging out for extra money to spend, to lose 2 or 3 years of your life? Well, I'm selling a car or I'm selling a house or anything of mine, I meet the market and move on. Because I've got a new goal or want to do something else. So listen to the market feedback, and even if you're not with us, you're with another agency, that agent will be giving you honest feedback 9 times out of 10. Hopefully honest feedback. So, and if it's not what you want to hear, it's not his fault or her fault. It's just the market. So then make your decision. Okay, the market's not where I'm at, but okay, I wanted $1 million, or I wanted 1.5 million. Market's at $1 million. So if you get live bidding at 800, talk to us so that we can at least have the option of lowering the reserve. When I get a reserve form back that has the same price at 3 levels, $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. If I don't get within cooey of $1 million, if I don't get to 980, 990, I can't come back to you. Pointless. If I get live to 700, 800, you pass it in to the highest bidder and hope he comes up. Which, if I go back to him at $1 million, they're just going to walk away. So that's important. We're setting our reserves at the start, so we know what you're thinking about price, so we know whether it's even worthwhile becoming a Brian McManus real estate client. And we put everything we have into you selling in 30 days, and that's pretty important. We use all of our social media marketing. We get the viewings, you know, it's massive when we're doing whether it's Google, Facebook, Instagram, any of those mediums are just smashing the numbers. You know, we're hundreds of thousands of views of properties that people have never even heard of the town. So, and then it just manifests out, you know, the referrals out, it just, and we can't even count those. So, it's pretty cool. So, once again, we've got systems in place. If you're out of those zones, out of the areas, give us a call, Brian, 040-297-0217, Brian at primatemanagedrealestate.com. Bit of a lead up into the auctions. We need those contracts. We really need bona fide ledgers. We need certified accounts for the last 3 years. Show us that you are drawing money. Pay yourself a salary and pay tax. Bank all the cash, and then we've got a pretty good chance of selling. Love the sun. How good is it? And I'm just going to scan down to my little mate there. Do you think he's enjoying it? He's going to give you a scratch. He is. Oops. So, call or email Brian 040-297-0217, Brian at primatemanagedrealestate.com, and we can get your property listed. Our part of the ledger pretty easy. You should have spoken to your solicitors and accountants prior to coming to the market, so no doubt they're drafting up both contracts and getting those accounts in order. Just gone through the end of the financial year, so that 24-25 year should be there. And from here until December, we see quite a solid, good selling marketplace. Fair market value, not massively high prices, but fair market value. So let's get the properties on the market. We're going to be doing probably 5 to 10 auctions. Will max out again. That'll be the goal, to have 5 or 10 an auction. You'll see the schedule that's on the website now. So that's the schedule. If we don't get 5 auctions, we go to online only. Just because it's costing about $5 to $10,000 to run the in-rooms auction. Obviously, we wouldn't do it for 1, but 5, or else we'll just do a line on online. Most of our buyers are online anyway, so it'll be the same day, same time, just doing it online, post it in rooms. Call or email. Let's get the appraisal done, contracts, the marketing campaigns in order, and get it underway. There's a lack of good stock out there, reasonable prices, reasonable expectations, so there's no reason we shouldn't be selling in 30, settling in 42, so you're in and out in 70 days. Love to hear from you. Give us a bell or call. Have a wonderful week 31. Enjoy the sunshine. It's fantastic out in the regions. It's we're going to peak at about 18 degrees on a day coming up soon, so that's cool. Love to hear from you.